Hey book and wine lovers, we have the best, all caps best news for you. Volume 2 of Bookish Wine is officially available to order, and we have a special offer to share with you. Use our new code narratives30 for $30 off Volume 2 at bookishwine.com. If you're new to Bookish Wine, it's a quarterly subscription club, or one-time boxes are available too, bringing a special edition romantasy book and artisan crafted bottle of wine right to your door. Here's what you can expect with a Volume 2 box. A special edition of Bound by Hearts and Stone by Lauren Sinatra, completely exclusive to Bookish Wine members. We're talking hardcover with sprayed edges, foiled details, character art, and more. Then you'll escape into the world with the boutique wine pairing, crafted to reflect the story's themes, characters, and mood. Plus, we know the artist design label will be gorgeous and complement the book. Now, here's another thing that's totally unique about Volume 2. You'll receive a free audiobook code. That's right, you'll be able to listen with your ear holes, read with your eyeballs, or both. Head to bookishwine.com and use code narratives30 by March 15th, 2026 for $30 off, and upgrade your reading nights with this immersive, unique bookish experience. Must be 21 or older. Please sip and savor responsibly.
Narratives and discussions may cover heavy content. For more information and disclaimers, please visit narrativesandnightcaps.com and take care while listening.
Welcome to Narratives and Nightcaps, Books, Beverages, and Author Conversations. I'm Bree, always ready to dive into new fantasy worlds and take a step back in time.
I'm Megan, part critic, always team physical copy, and forever chasing good thrillers and a great plot twist.
I'm Emily, your resident mood reader who thrives on chaos questions and lively book chats.
And I'm Jordan, equal parts heart, humor, and high-functioning caffeine addict. I come with coffee in hand, wine on standby, and a Gilmore Girls quote for every occasion.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Hello! Today we are excited to welcome author Sofia Robleda to the Narratives and Nightcaps podcast, exploring her newest book, The OTHER Moctezuma Girls, a journey to 16th century Mexico to meet the daughter of the last empress of Mexica as she embarks to uncover her mother's past and the secrets she kept to survive the Spanish conquest. Hello, Sofia. Welcome to the show.
Hello, hi, hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Please jump in about everything that we don't pronounce correctly and that you will say beautifully and wonderfully and we will butcher. So I so apologize.
Moctezuma was good. Moctezuma was good. Yes, yeah. So the Mexica, that's like that's how you say it. So the Mexica, that's what the Aztecs called themselves. So like Aztec is actually not a accurate term for what the Aztecs actually called themselves. That actually came out like centuries later. But the Aztecs people call themselves the Mexica. So yeah, Tecuichpo was the last empress of the Mexica, and that's kind of why we're called Mexicans as well, because of the Mexica. So it just comes from derives from there.
Thank you so much. I know right from the top of the book and everything, I was trying to absorb as much as possible with all of the notes on pronunciation and the family tree. And I was just like, this is so helpful. And then I got to a point where I was like, I have to actually read the book. I can't be so focused on that. I'm just trying to do this.
Yeah, so it's not easy. It's a different language. It's a beautiful language that, is still spoken today. Yeah. And, it's just not your language, but it's great that you still try to, that's what you can do.
Sophia, I have to say that so I minored in Spanish when I was in college, and I grew up in Arizona, so hablo un poquito español, but I lose it every day, right? And as part of that course, I took actually an Aztec poetry class, which was the hardest class I ever took in my undergraduate career. Because as we see in the book, right, just the words and the terms, and it is a beautiful language.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I have lost all pronunciation that I learned from that class because it was like a decade ago. But it was so fun to revisit this time, and you brought such life into the story that I was telling Brie, I am like so excited to dive into everything that you brought to the story. It's fantastic.
So good to hear. It's always so
Yeah.
nice because obviously you spend a long time in your head.
Yes.
Being like, is this, what am I doing?
All good. Well, before we jump in, Sophia, I have to ask, what's in your cup to pair with the book?
Well, look, this is not what maybe I would pair with the book, but because I've just had a hard day and I just was like, I just need something comforting and warm. So I'm actually drinking a cup of Darjeeling tea. Yes, so not remotely related to Mexico or anything like that. But my cup is my mother-in-law gave me this cup and it says, "Please do not annoy the writer. She may put you in a book and kill you." So I just. I did drink from this cup a lot of times. You know, it's one of my favorites. Yes. But I guess if I had to like pair something with the other Moctezuma girls, like a drink, I'd probably want like some kind of like mezcal or like tequila cocktail, you know, maybe a little bit sweet, but with that punch as well. You know, because it's both like, it's got some lightness in it, but it's also got a lot of darkness in it. So,
I could definitely see something with mezcal, something a little bit smoky too, smoky and sweet that balances that. I could definitely see that for this pairing.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we are so excited to hear more about the book, how it came to be, but we would love to kick things off with a bit of an icebreaker to get to know you a little bit more. So, I saw on your website that you've been writing since age 9 with a strong passion for writing fiction for over 10 years now. If you had to pick a book or a writer that you say made you want to become an author, what book or author would that be?
I want to become an author. Well, I mean, I've always loved books. I didn't really kind of think that I was going to be an author. I was like going through a fantasy phase in my late teens and early 20s, and then I like ran out of books to read. So I read all of the books because now there's like so much fantasy. I would have killed for all of the options back then, but you know, we were kind of quite limited. You know, I had read all like Lord of the Rings and Brandon Sanderson, and you know, I read this book about the Name of the Wind, that the guys who stopped writing it, and then you know, like the Game of Thrones books. I read them all, and then I was like, well, what else is there? Because I want more. So then there weren't any more that I could find. So there was like that lull between then and now, where there's like so much choice and so much diversity as well. Well, a little bit more, obviously still not enough, but more. And so I was like, well, I'm going to write my own fantasy book because I like literally want more fantasy books. So I'm just going to write my own fantasy book. Yes, and it was just completely unrelated to what I'm writing now. It was like a YA fantasy about mermaids who like go to the underwater Olympics, like no shape and form related to historical fiction, 16th century Mexico. Like, so, but yeah, so I wrote the sequel. They didn't go anywhere, but by then I was hooked in the writing, you know, with the writing bug. And, and then I was like now starting to kind of delve down a path of my ancestry, finding a bit more about, you know, my ancestral roots, finding out that I had indigenous roots. That's what kind of like contributed to me writing my first novel, which was Daughter of Fire. And then that's when I kind of like really got stuck into historical fiction and I'm like massively obsessed with it. But yeah, so long story short, lots, like I don't think there was, all of the books. And then books that didn't exist.
I love that sentiment, though, Sophia, where you're like, you know what? I've run through the entire genre, so I'm just going to add to it because I want to keep reading this.
Yes.
Great. All right. Well, what's one book you recommend to everyone?
Well, I think like it changes, but like at the moment, I'm very much recommending reading The Moor's Account by Laila Lalami. I've been recommending every time that I talk about the other Moctezuma girl because the girls because it really was a book that helped me so much in kind of thinking about how to structure the other Moctezuma girls. It's about it's a historical fiction as well, a historical memoir based on the story of this enslaved Moor, an African, Arab man who was taken on the expedition to Florida, the Narvaez expedition to Florida, which had like 300 men. So they started off with 300 men. They arrived in Florida, and then like it was a catastrophe. Like just everything that could go wrong went wrong, and 3 of them survived. They made their way. This is true. They made their way through the United States down, like for years. They like explored, like they just were trying to survive. They like met lots of like Native American tribes, and then they made their way down to Mexico City. And so 3 of them survived, and they made this incredible journey to Mexico City. And one of them was this Arab man, African Arab man, black man. And so Laila Lalami, she tells a story from his perspective of the journey, but it also has these flashbacks to like his life in like the north of Africa, and like so it's like in a way when I read that book I was like, oh, this is kind of like how that might help me with kind of the flashbacks with the mom and then the adventure side of things. But it's an incredible novel. It's about like 10 years old now, and it was nominated. I think it was a finalist book for the Pulitzer. And it's just a fantastic book. It's really good. It's really good.
You're adding to my TBR already, and we're not even like minutes into the episode. I love it.
I know. I'm like, I'm going to hit stop record after this. I will make sure that one's on my list.
Yes.
All right. You might have already told this, but we had it on our list. When you're writing, are you a coffee drinker, a tea drinker, or something else?
Tea. I drink so much tea. It's like, it's actually probably not healthy.
I mean, of the options, I kind of feel like it's okay. You're doing all right.
Yeah.
Also, I live in England, so it's like just a constant thing. Everyone is always like drinking tea, and it's just this tea drinking culture. It's mad. So I'm just like, well, when in London, you might do it as well.
Embrace. Whereas I feel like in the US, I can't ever say to anyone living in the UK that I might drink tea, because then they're like, oh, how do you prepare it? And I'm like, I don't.
I will say my brother-in-law grew up in London. And so it has like in the family become a, if we drink tea, we are prepared to answer the how do you take your tea question. But it's a tough one.
Oh, it's a fraught question. Yes. And I would say the British, they don't get passionate about many things, but the tea is one thing. Yep.
Yes. Oh, fun. Well, Sophia, when you're writing too, cozy cafe or quiet desk?
Yeah, I really just like my quiet desk, and I have like a stand-up desk because I'm almost 40 next year, and so like my back is just cannot cope with sitting for too long. So like I've got my old like ergonomic setup, and so like I'm just like I need to be at home because I've got all my bits.
Yeah, all of it. So music or no music, like totally quiet or background noise?
I can have like white noise or like some kind of like nature sound. So like when I was like writing some of the scenes with the lake, I would put like lakey sounds, but literally cannot listen to music.
Like quiet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
That makes total sense to me. I could do like maybe classical or something, but no words. No words.
No.
No words.
Oh, actually, when I was writing the scenes with La Llorona, the woman, there is a beautiful folk song, Mexican folk song, and I did listen to that. Maybe not while I was writing it, but before. Yeah. So yeah.
Absolutely. I could definitely see like listening to something before or something in that where there's a real connection
Yes.
to
Yeah.
that. That makes sense to me. Or I'm always a big fan of there's a song that connects to a certain scene, but I don't know that you could always listen to it while you wrote
Right.
for sure. You have lived in multiple countries, which I'm fascinated by and so envious of. But of the places you've lived or traveled to, what is your favorite place?
Uh, well, well, like lived. I think I am living in my favorite place that I've lived in. So in London, because it's just very, it's very dynamic and it's like really multicultural and it's really close to so many places, so it's easy to travel.
Yeah.
I loved living in Singapore as well, but I was there during high school. I didn't really appreciate it as much as maybe I would appreciate it now. So like just the food and like
Yeah.
the lifestyle and the safety. I mean, London's pretty safe, but it was quite a paradise really to grow up in there. I mean, as a child growing up in Cancun was pretty amazing. I mean, like I
Yeah.
literally lived in front of the sea, so that was incredible. Can't top that really. Um, Travel wise, I mean, it's so hard because like there's so many beautiful places out there. I just last year for my birthday, I treated myself to a
Oh,
trip to Iceland to see
ooh,
the Northern Lights, to see the Aurora
yeah.
Borealis.
Yeah.
And we were
That's
lucky.
cool.
We're super lucky. We saw them. So that was like a year ago. And it was just such a like just this place that is
Yeah.
so ice. It's just like ice. Like and it's so cold, and then there's the lights, and then the
Yeah.
wind, and you're like, this is really wild. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah, that was
That'd be
special.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's on
That
my
would be
bucket list.
same.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
my brother-in-law has been to Iceland, I think 3 times. He loves it. Like he loves going
Wow.
there. So he's been multiple times.
Yes, I
Mhm.
just went to Akureyri. I mean, just it's like pretty amazing, but like we didn't go to Reykjavik.
Reykjavik.
Sorry,
Reykjavik.
Yeah. Okay.
it's Icelandic. I don't speak Icelandic. But that I mean, I've heard just incredible things about it. I would love to go back and see that side of the island and those things. But we were there to see the Northern Lights, and just
Sure.
seeing that was for me wonderful. Yeah,
That's unbelievable.
yeah.
Well, Sophia, I have to ask then, what is a dream destination that you haven't been to yet that you want to go to?
I Yes, I want to go to Madagascar. I mean,
Ooh,
literally,
yeah,
I've seen a picture of this avenue of the baobabs in Madagascar, where it's like in the capital city,
yeah,
um, and there's like these ancient baobabs like just lining up the street,
yeah.
and the beaches there apparently are amazing, and the
Oh,
wildlife is just such a different place. I would
yeah,
love to go there. Love to go if I'm lucky enough
that
one
would be
day.
epic.
Mm,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Emily, what about you?
yeah.
What's your top dream
Oh
destination
my
right
gosh, Vietnam. Top,
now?
top. So we actually, my husband and I were planning on going in 2020 before
Oh,
2020 became 2020 because it was pre-kids and like we only had one dog. And so we were like, we're going to go and, have this big old fun trip. And my husband loves the food. That's like his favorite. Vietnamese food is his favorite. And we're both big scuba divers. So there's water right all along the way. So we were going to start in the south and just like eat our way and scuba dive all through. Um, and then we all know how 2020 actually ended up. Um, and so we said, okay, we'll like push it up, we'll push it out a few years and we're still pushing it out a few years. So eventually we will make our way there.
I hope you get to go. I hope you get to go. I have been to Vietnam
Yeah.
with my mom and to
Yeah.
Hanoi, and the food is so good. It's so
So good.
good. It's
Yeah.
just so good. Like you just
Well, that was one of the things that COVID, right, is they said it, my husband's favorite food is a banh mi sandwich. Loves it. And they are delicious. And so in lockdown, we learned how to make them. we found like traditional recipes and learned how to make it. And so now for his birthday, every year, that's what we make from scratch. It's like a 5-day process, but it's fun. It's
That's
really
awesome.
fun. Yeah.
Very
What about
cool.
you, Brie?
Well, Emily, you know, my travel bug is like insane. So I literally want to see the whole world. But right
Yeah.
now, um, so with this is not written in stone. So like nobody come back to this and say, but
We're
right
recording.
now, right, I know. Right now, my husband and I, we're planning a trip to Peru next year, or not next year, this year, because it's 2026. We are hoping to hike the Osingante trek. So
Very
that's
cool.
yeah, so that's what we are planning. Like literally last night, I was looking at, you know, a 40-minute video for the a 6-day trek and all that that entails. And yeah, so that's like what's on my mind right now is Peru. And um
So
yeah,
cool.
so it would also be by far the most intense hiking trip we've ever done in terms of altitude. So like we would have to fly into Cusco, right? No, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and acclimatize for like a minimum of 2 days
Yeah.
before we can set out on the hike. And yeah, so that's what's on my list for
That's
this year right
awesome.
now.
That's
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
And literally, I
Um,
think I might steal your idea.
well, yeah, I'm
We're here for it all.
Yep, yep. No,
come,
I'm on
come
board with
back to
this. So
me.
Machu Picchu for sure
Yes.
is on my list. My
Me too.
Yes.
my bucket list for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is like this track we're looking at doesn't go to Machu Picchu, and I was like, well, we have to
You have to
go
do
there. If we're gonna be there, we
Yes.
have to do that.
it.
So yeah,
But yeah, maybe
trying to
you can
figure
do
out.
that hike, and then you can just do the little train that
I was
takes
gonna
you
say the same.
to Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
Yeah, just something easy for Machu Picchu because
Yeah,
I know after 6 days we'll be just done
yeah.
for. If we do 6 days, we're kind of torn. Do we do the 4 days or the 6 day trek? What do we want to do? But just I'm so excited. I'm excited to like really learn about the history and like walk it there. And there's all these little villages and things in along the trek too that you get to
Yes,
stop through
yes.
and like get to have lunch at. So that's what's on my mind right now.
That's
That's a
pretty cool.
nice thing to be thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to have it all locked in and booked so that it's official. I'm looking forward to it. It's not just this what we're talking about. I can't
Yeah.
wait to have it
Yeah.
booked.
Crossing fingers.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Come back to me. I'll give you all my travel details
Yes.
after this. Okay, for those just hearing about the other Moctezuma girls, can you please tell us what the story is about?
Yeah, so the story is told in, I guess, 2 points of view. One is told from Isabel Canos, this young woman, who's half Spanish, half Mexica. And so her mother has just passed away, and she's like dealing with that loss. And then she finds clues that her mother has written, you know, another, like a testament of her life. Her mother was the last empress of the Mexica, a real person. So both of these women were real people. And so Isabel goes on like this quest around the Valley of Mexico to piece together the story of her mother's life that she kept hidden in order to survive the Spanish conquest. And so as she kind of goes through and finds the stories, we piece together the mother's life as well. We hear her story, we see what she kind of lived through, and just the legacy that she's left behind, and you know, I guess the difficulties that why I guess the family has ruptured in a way that it has as well. Yeah, so that's kind of what it is, like a historical fiction memoir adventure with like magical realism elements and, you know, ancient Mexican legends and things like that.
Quest is like the perfect word to for it. It's truly, it's there. It just encompasses all that you just said. It really is this quest into the past and the history, but then also a quest and a journey for her daughter and her children to uncover these secrets. I love that word for this.
It's an epic word. I think too, Sophia, you kind of sum this up, but you've got this great quote, about the story that we need these stories to remind us of who we are, not who they say we are. So in that kind of vein, I guess, why the Aztec Empire and why this particular moment in history?
Well, I guess, because I'm Mexican, so and I grew up I'm from Mexico City. And that's where I kind of first lived as a child. Um and I guess I've been on this kind of long journey with reconnecting with my roots and my heritage, living all over the world for so long. And and as I was writing my first book, Daughter of Fire, I kind of read a little bit about Tecuichpo. She just came up like on a footnote. I don't really remember exactly where. And the fact that she had left a will where she had freed all her slaves. That's like the only thing that well, she didn't really write it because she couldn't read or write, but that was what she kind of left behind. And that kind of struck me. So, this must have been in like 2019 as I was researching and writing Daughter of Fire. And like, it just stayed with me. I remember kind of thinking about the Tecuichpo even when I was giving birth to my son, like in 2021. And I was like, how am I going to write the story now that I have a child? My life is so different. I won't have any time or energy. So this is, I'm just kind of like sharing this because it's been a long time that this woman has stayed with me, that this queen. I was like, how did I not know about her as a Mexican? Like, why is she not taught like in schools? Like, we hear about Cuauhtemoc, her husband. Every Mexican in this knows Cuauhtemoc and knows Moctezuma, her father, and
Sure.
like they are historical figures that we're raised to know, but not her. And she outlived them. She survived when they didn't. And so I was, I kind of like wrote Daughter of Fire, which is set in Guatemala, and it's more kind of with the Mayans. And I connected with that because I grew up in Cancun with like the Mayan civilization was very close to me. But then I wanted to kind of go even more deeper to my birthplace, which was the Valley of Mexico, and Tecuichpo. And, it just was, for me, a really important thing to kind of like draw out this time when we kind of were just first melding into this people that we are now. Of course, there's a huge, enormous 1,000-year history the Spanish. And I tried to kind of bring that in a little bit, where kind of the two parts and how that shows in Isabel Cano, the daughter, she represents both, this mestizaje, this mixing of bloods and cultures in, maybe quite a violent way. But I guess coming into like why this time, it's really weird. I don't know, because like Daughter of Fire is set in the same year. So both events that I wrote about are set in the exact same year. And it was like a complete coincidence that Dick Richwood died that year. And I guess that quote, I guess what you said about what I said, obviously there's so much that's happening now in the United States and the world, kind of how people see Mexicans, how people see, how we are represented or how we're spoken about. And, people forget that, well, actually Tenochtitlan was, hundreds of years old, and this incredibly advanced city, it's the oldest city in the Americas, like this place that you can compare it very easily to like Babylon. It was like the Babylon of the Americas, so developed and so incredibly astounding that the Spanish didn't know. They thought they were like had walked into a dream, So it's just like what are you talking about? Like, we are, our civilization and our culture and our people are like so incredible. And so this is kind of what I'm trying to kind of come back to, like, read a book, basically. You know?
Listeners, if there's one thing you take away from this podcast, read a book. Read a book.
You know, and that's the social media clip. If you don't need anything else, read a book.
No, so I think that that's what was so fun, just for me personally, reading your story, right? Because I mentioned I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, right? So that was part of, like, in high school, I started studying Spanish. I studied Spanish through college. You know, I was fascinated when I said I took that class that was teaching, and I'm going to start butchering this, so please correct me. Nahuatl? Nahuatl?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And I've been to Cancun and seen the pyramids, which is just breathtaking. I know that's more Mayan than Aztec, but just, you can't help but feel when you're studying the language and the history, and then you're seeing these places. I'm speechless every time when I even look back on photos, and it's just, you've done a fantastic job, I think, of bringing this other side of history. Because you said, everybody, you hear about Moctezuma and you hear about the Spanish, you know, conquistadors and what happens on that side, but you don't see the aftermath, or I'll say the women's point of view, right?
Yeah.
And that was so fun, so fascinating for me to read kind of that other side of these events that are in the history books.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the women have always been there. You know, I guess this is like kind of interesting that you're saying that, because it just reminds me of this one of the characters in my other novel, who was a real man, Bernal Díaz del Castillo. He was a conquistador, and he wrote the memoirs of his memoirs of the Spanish conquest of Mexico. And, like, this man, right? So he's like, when he's describing the women, there were women that with them, Spanish women and, you know, indigenous women. Mm-hmm. And he's like, there were women with us, but, you know, there's no point in writing down their names. And then he goes on to name every horse. Sorry, I don't like that. Every horse that was with them in their expedition, in their, he recalls their names and writes down the 30 horses that they had in their names and who owned them. But the, like, 20 women that were, like, gifted to him by the Potonchan Maya, that, you know, the only woman that he names there is Marina, who was La Malinche, the translator, who, you know, has to be named because she basically did the work of and, you know, and then, but yeah, none of the, like, Spanish women or you know, anything else, or, like, it basically says there were lots of women, but there's no point in naming them.
I didn't know that. I have no words.
Are you, no words, and yet I'm like, I'm not surprised.
Right.
Like, sadly, but oh my goodness. So all that to say, I mean, so much to unpack. You just touched on so many different topics that I'm like, ooh, can we come back to that? Can we come back to that? Can we come back to that? But in your research, because like you said, this is women and people and a time, or at least this side of history, that isn't talked about a whole lot. It's not talked about in schools. You were in school in Mexico, and, like, you're only touching on one side. So in your research, what surprised you the most about either the Aztecs, these women, or Spanish colonization?
I think by, like, this stage, because, you know, I have been studying this era now for many years. It's quite difficult to kind of be surprised, per se. Like, really? You did that? Yeah, of course you did. But I think just for me, the amount of times that the Quichua was married, for example, and the fact that she had 7 children. Oh, that she had a child with Hernan Cortez. I had no idea that there had been, like, there are direct descendants of both Hernan Cortez and Moctezuma through Tecuichpo from their child Leonor.
Yeah.
And so that was really, I remember being like, say what? Like,
Yeah.
and of course that was not surprising. It's not surprising that he it was very unlikely to be a consensual relationship when Tecuichpo was basically 18, 19 and imprisoned by him. So she that was, and there was a bit of like different accounts of whether she gave the child up because she didn't want the child or that he took the child from her. There were conflicting accounts in what I read. And so that was also like, well, I get to choose, I guess, what to write about this. If there's conflicting accounts, I will just pick the best way I can frame this. Yeah. So
Fair.
there isn't much written about Tecuichpo. There's like chapters here and there. There are no biographies about her. There are no complete books about her. And that's also quite surprising to me. I suppose that no one has kind of gone down and really tried to
Yeah.
But there is very little that was left behind. So that was also surprising, how much I had to just kind of beg for scraps from the literature and trying to find and piece together as much as I could from this woman. But there was just very, very little. Yeah.
I think, Sophia, that kind of begs the question, because how do you balance, storytelling freedom with like these little pieces that you're getting from literature, because not much is written about her, to weave together the story? How do you balance those two?
So, I mean, I try to like put together as much as I can about what is known, either from this person or the people that she was interacting with, or like the events that were going on at the time where she was, the places where she was living in, and just try to kind of get some like a map of the events and the situation and the person, whatever is sort of known. And then there's going to be lots of gaps in this map, in this puzzle. So I just color it in with my imagination. Yeah. And I guess make educated guesses, and try to just obviously balance the story as well, the need for the story to be interesting, and move the reader along and be powerful as well. So yeah, I think it's important to know as much as you can, but then also, well, at the end of the day, it is a fiction story. Yeah. So I do have some liberty with that.
Yeah. I did enjoy, I'll say, this is spoiler free, so I won't, but the relationship that you built between Lenore and her mother, and that with her mother and Hernan Cortez, was really fascinating. I had no idea that Lenore existed. And I think the way that relationship, way you built it and the way it was revealed to the reader, was fascinating. That part had me on the edge of my seat. And I'll stop there because this is spoiler free. Okay. Read books.
Yeah.
I loved your answer with all of that too. And it's so interesting for this specific situation too, where there's so little recorded. So on that note, legacy is a big theme of this book. What does legacy mean in the context of women whose stories weren't always recorded or recorded in detail?
Yes. Well, I mean, I think like Philippa Gregory, she's one of my idols. She wrote, The Other Boleyn Girl, which is, kind of like where the title comes from. And so I went to hear her speak a couple of years ago when she released her nonfiction book, Normal Women, and it's like basically 500 years of British women's history, and just how she's how she studied the women's history, and kind of finding like the shadows in history. So like men go off to war, but miraculously their property keeps working, and it keeps being managed by who's doing all this management,
30 horses.
yeah, these so who's feeding these men, who's cooking for them, what are they doing, so I guess the structure of society, the function, and how society functions, women have always been a part of a functioning society. So I don't know if I'm kind of answering your question. I'm kind of like gone a bit sidetracked by this, but the legacy of women, is kind of like, how do you build a society? How do you kind of nurture and grow a society? How do you heal a society? How do you, mend, or a society that is ruptured? Who tells the stories? Like, it's usually the women. So it's like, that was, I guess, the legacy here. I mean, Tecuichpo also, interestingly enough, this was a big clue for me, was that she, Isabel and her sister Catalina did in fact, in truth, become nuns in real life. So they did end up in a convent. And for me, that was fascinating, that her only two legitimate daughters, her wishes were that they would be in a convent, that they wouldn't be married, that they wouldn't be beholden to a man, So that was, she wanted to spare them that. I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on that, at least from what we know about all of it, but it's to connect the dots on what her life was like. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, especially as she was married 7 times. Very much 6 times. I added 1. 6 times, but in the beginning, right, was almost like the bargaining chip, right? Like her few husbands, I'll say, were, she was
just a little
traded.
pawn. They're like,
right. She was just moved on the chest.
Now you're here.
Now you're here.
Now you're here.
Right.
Yeah,
I could see where that was. She didn't want her daughters to be the same. Sophia, you may have touched on this a little bit too already, and I am, Philippa Gregory, big fan too, talks a lot about reclaiming the lost or silenced, voices of women across history. And as we've said, I think you do a fantastic job of bringing in Indigenous history and female power. Can you talk a little bit about kind of how you approach that? How is, that topic, and, maybe why these stories are so impactful today?
Yeah, I think it's just what I'm interested in. I've read enough books about men and written by men. I'm not really
We're done.
interested. Like they've had centuries of the microphone. They've literally, all these monks, they just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, and about the men, and it was always about the men and what the men could do. Interestingly, this in my first book, and Daughter of Fire, I found this instruction manual written by I think he was a bishop or a priest, called Carlos Vives. He wrote this instruction manual for Catherine of Aragon, right, the wife of Henry VIII, on how to basically be a woman, like what makes a good woman. And this was a humanist priest, so he believed in the humanity of people, like humanist priest. And so he goes on, and literally it's like a whole paragraph, like a whole paragraph about all of the things that men need to be. They need to be, good at this, and they need to be brave, and they need to be this, and they need to have all these qualities, all these in order to kind of demonstrate their worth. And he's like, all a woman needs to be worthy is to be virtuous and keep her chastity. That is all that is required. You don't need to be eloquent. You don't need to be you don't need to have you don't need to do anything. You just have to keep your legs shut, and that's all you need to do. Until you're as property you were given from your husband, from your father to your husband, then you can, obviously be of service to your husband in that way.
Just be virtuous.
But just be virtuous. That's it. That's all you need to do. I was just I'm so tired of these men. Like, just so, obviously, not all men, and I love lots of men, good, kind of good men. But like, it's just enough. I don't want to hear what you've got to say anymore. I've got too much. We've got too much to catch up on in all these centuries that we've kind of been listening to you. Like, so yeah.
What is that quote? Shoot, I'm gonna totally butcher it, and it's on the tip of my tongue. That's like, not all men, but like when it is a man or something. And
Yeah.
and that's not a direct quote, and I didn't take it, but I have seen it. It's like, not all men, but it was a man.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, if readers remember just one feeling or one idea after finishing the other Moctezuma Girls, what do you hope it is?
Maybe like perseverance, or resistance. I think that's important. It's always important. It's not easy, and but I think it's so important. It's important. It's been important in many areas of our life. It's very important today more than anything, to persevere and to resist, even if it's like a silent, what she did for many years. Obviously, she had to stay silent, but in the end, she did do a huge thing, which was releasing her slaves, and this, it kind of seems like, I'm just saying this, and maybe I don't think that people can quite understand the magnitude of that statement that she did at that time. It was a big deal to emancipate someone, in a whale. It showed incredible care and, kind of a desire to kind of, it was a huge statement. She released every single slave that she owned. She commanded them, if they were slaves, to be free. And so, she, this was her last will and testament. This was what she wanted. She wanted people to be free. And so, like, that to me is even more powerful today than ever, when we're kind of having people being thrown into detention centers all over the country, just because there's a quota to be met. Like, this is like the time to resist and to persevere in that resistance. So I think, like, she really inspires me, her that even though she, never really left anything apart from that will, I think that was a huge statement. Yeah.
I think that that's a really good reminder, because it might seem, easy is not the right word. It might seem simple to kind of look back at history and things like that, like freeing your slaves, and kind of forget the magnitude of that. And yet, that's partly what's so important about history and historical figures in general, is us remembering the magnitude of that. Because if we forget how impactful that was, then, you're changing the future at that point, if you don't realize how monumental that was at that time, and continues to be at present, so that we don't repeat past mistakes and can learn from history too. I think that's a really good reminder too, that it's just, it was such a big deal, and any time in history that something like that took place, we should remember how impactful it was then.
Yeah. We kind of take it kind of like, okay, well, of course she wanted to release her slaves, but actually that was slavery was common, and so, like, she was the most important woman, at the time in Mexico City. She was the wealthiest landowner in New Spain. She got to that position not just because she was the daughter of the Aztec emperor, but because she sued the Spanish crown. She sued them, and she fought for decades and decades to get as much land back. And so, at the end, she said, well, now it's time for me to go, and it's time for all these people that have been under, my not really her care, but that I've owned to go in their own way. She paid their wages, and they all went in their way. Yeah.
It's like we have to remember we can't apply the lens of present day thinking on actions like that. It's got to be the lens of the time when looking at those decisions. And that's kind of hard, right? When you're moving through that.
Yeah.
Well, Sofia, I so appreciate your thoughts on some of this. I'm going to change just a little bit the direction, because I am curious a little bit about kind of your writing process, and what's the best writing advice you've ever received or just live by? The best writing advice you can give.
Read a lot.
Read a book.
Read a book.
Let's go back to the basics. Read a book.
Read a book.
Yeah, so you definitely cannot be a writer if you're not a reader. There's just there's so much that you can learn from reading other people's works, and just taking in and how people structure the words that they use. But I guess in terms of when I kind of sit down or stand up and write, I just it's kind of changed every time that I've written a book. Like, what's been the most important thing? I mean, it's just you just gotta keep putting one word in front of the other. Like, it's just the book isn't gonna write itself. I don't know. It's like you just have to do it. But it's hard. It's not easy. You have to persevere. But I think, like, yeah, one piece of advice that will always be true, no matter how much you've written or how many books you have put down, is you need to read. You need to read and keep reading always. Yeah.
Life lesson: keep reading.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Well, so as of us talking to you, your book is set to come out next month, like just under a month away. Tell us a little bit about what you have planned for the release.
Yeah, so oh gosh, it's just kind of snuck up on me. This whole book has been so much faster than the first one. It just seems like I've blinked and then it's here. And I've got a couple of events here in the UK that I'm going to be doing, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to be doing this panel with Sarah El Arifi, who wrote Cleopatra. So it's like for Hist Fest. It's like History Fest in London. So we're going to talk about, like, non-Western queens and literature, and retelling women's stories, which is really exciting. And just having an event at a one of my local bookshops here with close friends and family. I think that's going to be really nice. And yeah, just kind of try and enjoy it more this time. Last time I was in such a panic. I think I was just like, So I've been just trying to kind of just be a bit more present and just enjoy it more, and not freak out so much. It's just whatever happens is going to happen, and I can't control everything. So it is what it is. I'm hoping for the best,
I love it. Well, Sofia, and we know it might be too soon to ask, but after this one officially launches and flies out into the universe, is a bit of rest next, or is there another story that's
I have been resting because I finished writing this in April, but then this whole year I've been like editing it, and then the Spanish translation for my first book came out, so there was a lot of like work. So it was really cool. And so it's only kind of now that I've been just percolating. Actually, the daughter of Tecuichpo and Hernan Cortez, Leonor, I've been percolating her story, and so been doing a lot of research on her. Also, not very much, but trying to find as much as I can, and then I'm hoping to be able to write about her next. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that. Well, you just mentioned some events which very like wish I was in London to go to because that sounds incredible. But for everyone else listening, where is the best place for them to connect with you?
Instagram is basically the only social media platform that I have, and I have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter that so you can sign up on my website or through Instagram as well, and that I kind of chug out something every month, trying to make it interesting to people. But yeah, so you can do that. I think there's like gonna be a bonus content on the Other Moctezuma Girls if you sign up to my newsletter through the, I think that, yeah, just through the book there's like a link, so definitely sign up.
I will, and I'm also yeah, I was gonna say, and I'll be sure to link to all of that in the podcast notes as
Thank
well.
you.
So anyone that wants to connect with Sophia as well as sign up for that newsletter and get that bonus content, because we promise you're gonna want it after you
Yep.
read this. That will be all there in the podcast notes. Sophia, thank you so much for sharing the Other Moctezuma Girls with us, which will be available February 24th to all readers. I know we haven't said that yet. Um, if if you love stories about hidden histories, powerful women, like we were just saying, and then the secrets and the historical events that shape us and that need to be remembered, even if only one side has been obviously stated, there's another side too, often more than one side. And those are the stories that really brought us here today and that need to be remembered. And this is one you don't want to miss. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you. It's been so nice to speak to you. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks, Sophia.
Cheers.
Ciao. Ciao.
Thanks so much for listening. The Narratives and Nightcaps podcast is a production of The Craft Co. with intro music created by Remington Haynes.
Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow at Narratives and Nightcaps on Instagram or visit our website, narrativesandnightcaps.com.
Sign up for our newsletter to always know what we're reading next, which authors are joining us on the show, and for extra bookish and beverage info.
Connect with our additional co-hosts, Jordan and Emily, as well.
You can find me on Instagram at Cozy Reads and Sips.
And you can find me on Instagram at books.bottles.
Cheers!
Cheers.